Hey everyone, I'm Jay Shear and welcome to another episode of Business Minds Coffee Chat. The goal of this show is to share insights, help to lift and inspire others, and deliver relevant, meaningful, and actionable content. I'm excited about today's episode because we're going to be talking about breakthroughs and transformation in life and business. Our guest today is a best-selling author, speaker, values coach, emotional intelligence trainer, a wife and mother, and an advocate of personal growth for success. With a BS in industrial engineering and a master's in organizational leadership, this California native made a transition from a 16-year corporate career to helping others tap into, embrace, and step fully into their brilliance. Please welcome the founder of Living Inspired Leadership, Sonia Ferrell. Sonia, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love your platform. I love what you've created to inspire and uplift other people. This is great. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm grateful for you. So why don't we dive right in? Would you share with us where your story begins and at what point did you discover your purpose?
Oh my goodness. This is a great question. And my story really begins with, and it's coming to realization now because let me back up. My parents are immigrants from Mexico. So I was born here, and then after kindergarten, we moved to Mexico. I did my elementary in Mexico, so I learned the language, the culture, and then I came back 6 years later. And as a kid, you adapt. And I just thought, okay, this is where we're going to end up living. I never practiced English while I was there because there weren't any other people to practice English with. So I totally forgot. It completely erased from my memory. Coming back as a seventh grader was a challenge for me because I got to relearn the English language and then trying to fit in. So now I'm able to understand the people that I serve even more because I focus on Latinas that are in the tech industry. But I just love and I am committed to creating awareness and growth in individuals so that they can live a happier and fulfilling life. And I was in that mindset of, once I did my master's in leadership, I knew that this was a path that I wanted to go in because it made me see into myself for the first time.
So,
and go ahead.
So dig into that a little deeper for us. What was that realization? What did you uncover? And how did that open your eyes?
So what it uncovered were the stories. Why was I in victim mentality? Why did I have the fears to take action on certain things? What were my shadows? Where were those coming from? And then learning to break those patterns, learning to see, oh, the way that I'm acting is because this happened in the past and it's just a story. So how do I shift now? So I learned a lot of mindset. I learned a lot of awareness. And then once I knew that this was the work that I wanted to bring forward, I was stuck in the how. I was stuck in the, well, I don't have the experience. Well, what if I fail? And all these things that were holding me back. And then I said, well, I'm going to go back to the school. They had a leadership center. And I said, I'm going to start volunteering to get experience on the things that I want to start creating. And I started with a group of other leadership facilitators. And what we did was we brought in on the weekends, we facilitated workshops on emotional intelligence, on values, and on effective or compassionate communication. And we were bringing these programs to nonprofits. And it was one called Maximizing Opportunities for Mothers that had been incarcerated. So this was a huge eye-opener for me in terms of just by bringing these three things, we were able to create awareness. And I remember one of the moms saying, once she saw, these are all the values that you are able to develop. These are the different faces, the learning, the going to school, the gaining new skills. And it was such an eye-opener in terms of what are we exposed to and what are we not exposing ourselves to. And seeing that she was able to say, wow, I can develop other values, other skills, and starting to see how they were breaking these old patterns that they were bringing to their kids was huge. And that's when I said, oh my God, this is really the work that I want to bring forward, because creating awareness is being able to create that happiness, being able to commit to creating happiness for ourselves, because we have the choice.
Wow, beautiful. So making that transition from a corporate culture and a corporate type environment to entrepreneurship and starting your own business with a purpose that connected with your soul and with your heart. What was that first step like? So when you made that leap, did
And
you?
I had a lot of stories that, the fear of not being perfect, the fear of, am I going to provide enough value? Am I going to be good enough? So all those stories were holding me back. And I can see how that can happen to a lot of people. But it wasn't until I finally said, okay, what's really important? I get to look at the vision. I get to look at the impact that I get to create. And that's more important. So I committed to start taking action, to be okay with making mistakes, to be okay, because every time we fail, we make a mistake, we learn. And I wasn't allowing myself to go through that.
Very interesting. Was that a difficult journey to reduce or eliminate those limiting beliefs?
Was it a difficult? I think it just took a while, right? And it what it takes is really starting to take those risks, putting yourself, doing things that don't feel comfortable. Those are the things that are going to create growth. So doing those things is what it really took. And the help, having a coach, someone to hold your hand, someone to keep you accountable. Because when I didn't have a coach, I was just sitting there waiting, and things are not going to happen by just sitting there and waiting. And it's so relevant to times right now when we get to move forward. And I think I shared this earlier, that I see this as an opportunity. I didn't share with you, but 5 years ago, I had a stroke, and it forced me to slow down, because I was just, go, 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 doing so many things. And I remember a family member telling me, hey, you got to stop and smell the roses. You're just like, go, go, go. You're just so in your head, you're not connecting with yourself. And that allowed me to really stop and reconnect to what really matters to me. And it was my family and being of service. And by being of service is I am giving to these nonprofits. I am giving to high school and middle schools and even college students that are underserved, who didn't have a mentor. Because I feel like I didn't have a mentor growing up. I mean, my father, I say my father was my greatest mentor, because he encouraged going to college. He made that important. And my father is a funny guy, because he said, I don't know who you're going to marry, so you need to go to school and have a backup plan so that you can sustain yourself. But here's the thing, I didn't know what was out there. He didn't go to college, so he couldn't really mentor me. So that's why I think that area that I serve, to go back and to give, is also important to me. And they're taking this back to what I was saying, that it's so relevant, because I feel that right now we're being forced to stop. Like I said, my stroke it was a really forced stop for me, because I was in acute rehab for a month in the hospital. So I really couldn't do a lot of things on my own. And right now, the things that are happening, I feel like it's a gentle slow down. so that we can really stop, so that we can really reflect and see it as an opportunity to create something maybe that we've put aside, something that we said, oh, that's not going to work. I feel that this is the time to bring up that opportunity.
What a wonderful way to look at things. And it reminds me of the, when you were sharing the story of the stroke and what you went through rehabbing and coming back from that. It reminds me of the statement that life happens for us, not to us. So when you reframe the stories, as you shared earlier on, and look at that as an opportunity, look at that as a gift that was given to you that has allowed you to learn and has allowed you to reassess and reevaluate and do the difficult work that we have to do internally in order to be able to show up and serve others.
Yeah, that's really what it did. And that's the way I saw it, as an opportunity. It's like, okay, I'm giving a second chance, and what really matters to me, what's really important.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. So you talked about values for a moment. I'd like to delve into that. And how does one identify their core values, and why are they so important to success?
Yeah. And a lot of times people are like, you're a values coach. What does that mean? Uh, because it's so broad. And really, we have foundation values, which are the values that are influenced by our culture, by our religion, by the people that we're surrounded by. And then we have values that we're focusing on right now. Like, I'm focusing on education. I'm going to school right now. I'm focusing on work. I'm focusing on family. What is it that you're focused on and that's important? And then we have our vision values. Like, I want to be able to integrate all these skills. I want to be able to run a department. I want to be able to make an impact in the society and communities. Then we get to look at, okay, what's the gap in between where you're at right now and the vision? And we look at different goals, and under each goal value, there are skills. A lot of times we could be missing. I work with emerging professionals that are looking to advance in their career.
Okay.
And, a lot of times, how do we develop the skill of delegating authority, being seen? So that's one example of how I used the values coaching.
Very interesting. And certainly that is foundational to success in any area of life or business. Would you agree with that?
Yes, yes. One of my values or vision values is intimacy and solitude. Solitude is so important. I crave that, just to be by myself so that I can be able to connect with myself, connect with my being, connect to the things that are important, and evaluate, am I creating the things that I want? You attended one of my sessions where we got to evaluate ourselves. Am I being a 10 in relationships? And I want to say no, because I've been keeping myself so busy with other things that I haven't reached out to my friends. So now that I'm aware, I can make that an intention.
Yeah, that's a really interesting process to go through, that the self-awareness side of it. And it requires you being candid, transparent, being honest with yourself, and spending the time to go through each of those questions and giving yourself a real self-assessment. It can be an eye-opener, and it's not always the easiest situation to deal with. I think sometimes we like to tell ourselves certain stories that we are a certain way, and the reality is, when you really delve deep and start to work on what's happening on the inside, you discover some things that can open your eyes.
It's so true. And that reminds me of, when I was in corporate and I was maybe, I want to say 3 years into this position. And I was very resourceful. I learned everything. I was, problem solver. I would investigate and figure out things and get projects completed. And then when it came to getting a promotion, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And I was going, what happened? And this was before doing my leadership master's. But later on, I got to see, a lot of times we get blinded by the way we perceive ourselves, but really, how are others perceiving you?
Right.
And I was able to learn that, one, I didn't ask for authentic feedback. The feedback that I got was like, well, this person that you're training as your manager has a master's and you don't have a master's. And I said, okay. So, asking for that authentic feedback in order to grow. Because a lot of times we don't like our feedback. We take it as offensive. And no, I invite people to take feedback as an opportunity to grow.
Absolutely.
And the other thing, what I learned is that a lot of times you think you're showing up as a leader, but if someone else is saying, oh, I don't know your name, what does that say? Are you really showing up?
Yeah, I haven't taken the time to really get to know the team or the people around me.
Exactly. So yeah.
So talking about feedback and leadership, do you in your line of work, do you believe or give 360-degree evaluations?
I think it's really important, and I ask people to get evaluations from those that they work with, those people that know them better,
Mm-hmm.
and then discuss that, and then look at, okay, did you know this about yourself, or how did you feel? And then, because that's really important. Again, like I said, a lot of times perception, the way we see ourselves, is not the way we're showing up. The way we think we are showing up, it's really not the way we're showing up. So it's really good to get that feedback so that we can grow in areas, so that we can show up the way we want to show up.
Yeah, yeah, that's wonderful. So you're a mindset coach in addition to many other areas. Why does mindset matter so much, and what are some of the strategies that you use to help someone develop a growth mindset?
Yeah. The mindset, it's really the shifting of, if you're having a day where, oh, I committed that I was going to committed myself to be healthy, that I was going to run. And there may be a day where it's like, no, I'm not feeling like it. But if you have committed yourself, then keep your word. That's what really mindset is, like keeping your word to yourself.
Hmm.
Um, the other part is, um, a lot of times, there's two options, right? You can either stay in the area where you're feeling contracted, where you're feeling fear, where you're feeling the victim. That's a mindset. Or you can shift into the other side, which is the second option, where you can be abundant, where you can be positive, where you can be expansive. So we always have a choice, and that's what I tell people. And also, when we are going in this fear or this pattern, going through this pattern, and we're just going around and it's not taking us anywhere. So the mindset is, whatever you're doing right now is not working. What is it creating? Who else is it affecting? So it's time to try something different. So does that make sense?
It definitely does. Absolutely. So when you're working with someone, you do you help them through different exercises, reading,
Yeah.
different types
And
of.
and a lot of times, they're not seeing that they're in that mindset. So I help them walk through, okay, what are the prices that you're paying right now? Who else is it affecting? Not just you, or how is it affecting you? And then we worked on other options. Well, what else can you try so that you can move out of that pattern? So that's one example. And then also create an intention. And what are you committed to creating? And then having that accountability partner. It's so important to check, okay, I committed to doing something different and I did it. Because a lot of times we we like to work by ourselves, and it's hard. I mean, I thought that was the way to do it. For a long time, when I came to starting my business, I was doing things on my own. Well, that wasn't helping me. That was taking me longer. And yeah, I suggest people always ask for help. And the other thing that I learned, and I don't know if it's just in a particular culture, but asking for help is seen as weakness. And this was shared by one of my mentors recently. And it made me realize for the longest time, I did not ask for help. I was, I'm capable, I'm going to do things on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I was giving myself excuses. So see, here's a mindset. I was saying the excuses of, oh, I can't reach out. They're going to say no, they're too busy. So I was holding myself back. And now I'm in a different mindset of, I'm going to reach out. And if they say no, that means new opportunity. I reach out to someone else.
Look, we all need one another. It's I once you're able to change the story that you're telling yourself and realize that asking someone for help doesn't mean that I'm not capable. It opens you up to new learnings. It opens you up to a whole world of possibilities. And so it's yeah, that's a really interesting one for me.
See, and again, it's creating that awareness. And that took me a while to create that awareness. When I started the master's program, I was so in this corporate program of go, 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 next meeting. There was no stop,
Mm,
breathe, create awareness. What's going on,
yeah.
And it's so important.
Yes, it is definitely. So let's switch gears for a moment. Tell us about your Habits of Success program. What came out of that experience that surprised you, and how has it changed you?
Yeah. Well, the habits for success was created by finding well, one, people were asking, how do I stay motivated, how do I stay motivated? And I go, I can't motivate you if you don't have a particular desire. So it comes to, what is the thing that you desire, the thing that you want to achieve? So what I did is I switched it to, I'm just going to provide tips especially in times right now where, what if someone wants to start an online business? Where do I start? What does branding mean? And all that stuff. And also mindset, staying positive. So it was a combination of different influencers to bring practices that people can apply. I had one that spoke about happiness, creating happiness from the inside out. So it was just something to apply to relevant times. If you're feeling fearful, if you're feeling like you're not being joyful, how do you create that practice to switch it? And again, it's kind of a mindset thing.
Mm-hmm. So lessons that you learned through that experience, and are there specific ways that you can tell that it changed you? Going through those
Um,
interviews and listening to the types of responses that you received from these different influencers?
I definitely learned a lot from every speaker. Every speaker had something special to share because they were all experts in their area.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned about the importance of branding. I learned about the importance of creating something so simple to remind ourselves about happiness, gratitude. I learned about confidence. What does it mean? How do you bring that forward? How do you develop it? So every speaker had something important to share, and there were over 20 of them.
Wow. Outstanding. So how are you processing what's happening in the world today, and what are some of the specific tactics and actions that you're taking to stay focused and keep yourself inspired? You talked about motivation, but what specific tactics are you taking?
Yeah. Well, I was working virtually already, I would say 80%, and then 20% I would do workshops in colleges and leadership conferences, and then my own as well. So that's been the thing that has shifted to now virtual.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm navigating through that. I do miss the engagement, and I'm learning, but I think everything it's totally possible. It's totally possible. And what I do feel is for those that have completely lost their jobs because they're not essential right now. So what can they do? And I you put myself in their shoes, and I go back to when I was trying to figure out things on my own. And if I was to give them a strategy or a tactic, I would say the number one thing is to ask for support. And I love what I've seen. I don't know if you're aware about GMC, the car production industry, which opened a department to now start producing essential medical equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been individuals that have the capacity to manufacture things, and they're, producing the facial masks, they're producing the shields for medical staff.
Yeah.
So there are ways and there are opportunities to innovate, but a lot of times we can't do it by ourselves. And I shared a message earlier to reach out. If you're a person that, let's say, wants to patent a new product, and reach out to me, even if I'm not the expert, and even if I don't have the answer, I may know someone that can support you.
Mm-hmm.
So just, reaching out and letting the word out. This is what I'm trying to create. And I think that's a great tactic. The other one is debrief with friends. If I was talking to a person that's in the retail business, and well, that's not essential right now. So the question is what to do. And my advice would be to debrief with people, look at your talents, look at your skills, because I'm sure that those can be transferred into something that's essential right now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think staying connected is critically important. Reaching out, finding out how people in your community are doing. So staying engaged and focusing on solutions, focusing on where the opportunities are, and helping people overcome the negativity that they may be exposed to. So there's, certain things that we should be limiting, such as the amount of TV, the amount of news, the amount of negative conversations that we're having, because all of those things block us and keep us from being able to see where the solutions and opportunities are and staying optimistic. So likewise, to echo what you were saying, it's debriefing, staying in touch with people, having the right kinds of conversations, and helping them navigate and look for where those opportunities are. And the opportunity for others may look very, very different than what they may be looking at. So you have to be open to really any type of suggestion and idea. And I love some of the examples that you pulled out and mentioned, such as, companies pivoting and looking at different ways of filling a need in the marketplace. And, that the actions that we take today, the right actions that we take today, are extremely meaningful, and they're going to have long-term impacts. And so that's exciting to me.
Yeah, and if you have the finances, look for a coach, look for a consultant that can help you get the results that you're looking for, that can help you look at, okay, what are your talents, your skills, what resources do you have? And then let's work on shifting these things to create new opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. So before I ask you my last question, where can we go to learn more about you, learn more about the impactful work that you're doing? And for those that are interested in engaging with you, how do they find out more about you?
Yes, let's get connected on LinkedIn. I hang out on LinkedIn, and then the other area is Facebook. Go to my private Facebook group, Habits for Success. Join the group. We engage there. It's a group. The purpose of the group is really to support each other, to learn from each other. What business are you in, so that we can help each other, and at the same time provide resources to support them in terms of what are the habits, the mindset that we're looking for right now. And then I'm able to provide those resources, and other people provide resources as well.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we'll make sure that we link to those in the show notes. And so here is my final question to you. On a scale of 0 to 100, with 100 being fully realized potential, where are you today?
Oh my God, that's a really good question, because I see myself as being in the 60s, because I think that we have so much potential and we don't utilize it all.
Interesting. Well, because of your response, I'm going to ask you a part B to that question. So, what obstacles, if any, are holding you back from becoming the best version of you?
It's looking at those different areas. Remember, I shared about, where am I a 10 on my relationships? Am I a 10 on my finances? Am I a 10 on my health? Am I a 10 when it comes to parenting? Am I a 10 when it comes to um, spiritual practice? And looking at all those areas, it's like, you know, I'm not. I think I'm averaging high 60s, close to 70. There's still a higher percentage that I can dive deep. And it's, again, taking that time. And what I've been saying that I've been craving is solitude, taking that time to really sit in solitude and look at where I'm going to focus on next and how I'm going to do it. So what's holding me back is making the time to create that space.
Love that response. Thank you. And I wanted to thank you also for joining us today on Business Minds Coffee Chat. I'm excited about our relationship and where this could potentially lead. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. And I look forward to continuing to learn and grow with you and participating in some future workshops of yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Jay. It's been a pleasure.
Fantastic. And for the rest of you, thank you so very much for watching. If you found value in this episode, please like and share with your friends. And until next time, stay healthy and optimistic, keep learning and growing, and remember that transformative change in your life and business begins with you, and nothing happens until you take action. And we'll see you next time.